Chosen one, listen carefully. This message you about to hear. A hidden moment you never knew was a test. You did not notice the moment it happened. There was no announcement, no warning, no applause. Yet heaven was watching your response in silence. What you endured was not random, it was measured. Why your life felt harder than others. You carried weight others never felt. Your struggles were intense because your calling is rare. Ease was never meant to shape you. Pressure was assigned to reveal you. The test that broke many but refined you. Others quit when confusion arrived. Others compromised when pain increased. You stayed true even when clarity disappeared. That is why this message found you. When obedience made no sense. You followed what felt right, not what felt safe. You walked away without knowing what was next. You trusted without proof or applause. That decision was recorded. Why God stayed silent during your pain. Silence was not abandonment. Silence was examination. Your reaction mattered more than your comfort. You were being weighed, not ignored. The loneliness was part of the assignment. Isolation sharpened your discernment. Distance protected your spirit. Crowds would have diluted your purpose. Separation prepared you for elevation. People could not understand your path. They questioned your choices. They doubted your direction. They mocked your patience. They did not know you were being tested. Why you were misjudged so often. Your depth made shallow minds uncomfortable. Your restraint confused impulsive people. Your silence threatened noisy egos. Misunderstanding was inevitable. The moment you chose integrity over escape. You could have taken shortcuts. You could have justified wrong decisions. You chose righteousness when no one was watching. That choice echoed in the unseen realm. Why temptation came repeatedly. Tests repeat until mastery is proven. The pressure increased because you were passing. Weak character collapses quickly. Yours endured quietly. The chosen one's inner battle. You fought wars no one clapped for. You healed while still bleeding. You learned while still confused. That is chosen one's strength. Why God is proud of you now. You did not lose your values. You did not harden your heart. You did not betray your calling. You remained aligned. The difference between chosen and popular. Popularity seeks approval. Chosen ones seek truth. One fades quickly. The other leaves impact. Why you felt delayed but not denied. Timing is not punishment. Delay builds capacity. Rushing would have broken you. Preparation protected you. The hidden reward after endurance. Strength you cannot fake. Wisdom you did not read. Authority you did not demand. These are earned through testing. Why others fell away from your life. They were not equipped for your next level. Some were distractions disguised as support. Release was mercy, not loss. Your path required clarity. When faith was all you had left. No evidence supported you. No voices encouraged you. Yet you still trusted. That is rare faith. The test of character over comfort. Comfort weakens discipline. Character sustains destiny. You chose growth over ease. That choice marked you. Why your spirit feels different now. You are calmer under pressure. You see through deception faster. You no longer chase validation. Awakening has matured you. The strength you gained in private. Private victories create public authority. You conquered fear internally first. You mastered self-control quietly. Now influence will follow. Why this message is confirmation. You asked silently for a sign. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. You are being acknowledged. The responsibility of being chosen. Power requires humility. Awareness requires discipline. Calling requires obedience. You are ready for responsibility. Why you can no longer shrink. Your season of hiding is over. Your voice carries weight now. Your presence shifts rooms. Do not deny your growth. The next level requires courage. Old versions cannot enter new doors. Fear will try to resurface. Stand firm anyway. You have passed before. What happens after the test? Clarity replaces confusion. Peace replaces anxiety. Direction replaces wandering. This is transition. Why your past pain now has meaning. Nothing was wasted. Every tear taught endurance. Every loss taught wisdom. Every delay built trust. The quiet confidence of the awakened. You no longer explain yourself. You move with intention. You listen more than you speak. That is spiritual authority. Your calling is bigger than approval. Not everyone will celebrate you. Not everyone will understand you. Obedience matters more than applause. Stay aligned. This is only the beginning. Passing the test unlocks assignment. Assignment unlocks impact. Impact reveals purpose. You are just starting. If this message resonated, it was meant for you. Do not ignore confirmation when it arrives. Like this video to affirm your awakening. Comment your testimony and subscribe to return to awakening to walk this journey together. When God tests, silence more than action. There were moments you said nothing. Not because you were weak, but because restraint was required. Silence revealed your maturity. Reaction would have disqualified you. Why you were watched more closely. Greater calling invites greater observation. Every choice mattered more than you realized. Small decisions carried eternal weight. You were never unnoticed. The test of forgiveness without apology. You released people who never said sorry. You healed without receiving closure. You chose peace over being right. That required spiritual strength. Why your heart stayed soft. Pain tried to harden you. Betrayal tried to close you. You refused bitterness. That choice preserved your light. The season you almost gave up. You questioned your path late at night. You wondered if obedience was worth it. You felt unseen and unheard. Yet you still stood firm. When faith became a daily decision, belief was no longer emotional. Trust became intentional. You chose faith repeatedly. That consistency passed the test. Why you were removed from certain rooms. Not every space deserved your presence. Some environments drained your spirit. Removal was divine protection. Your energy was too valuable. The test of patience without timeline. No dates were given. No deadlines were revealed. Waiting refined your trust. Impatience would have ruined alignment. Why your intuition sharpened. Suffering heightened awareness. Discernment developed through pressure. You learned to feel truth. That sensitivity is sacred. The difference between delay and discipline. Delay teaches endurance. Discipline builds authority. You gained both. Few survive that process. Why you no longer seek revenge. Justice is not yours to carry. Release freed your spirit. Letting go elevated you. That restraint impressed heaven. The test of obedience without reward. No immediate blessings appeared. No recognition followed obedience. You continued anyway. That proved purity of intention. Why your circle became smaller. Quality replaced quantity. Alignment replaced familiarity. Truth replaced comfort. Growth required separation. When you chose purpose over pleasure, you denied temporary satisfaction. You sacrificed short-term comfort. You honored long-term vision. That choice shaped destiny. The test of trusting God alone. Support disappeared unexpectedly. Voices went silent. God remained constant. You learned true dependence. Why you outgrew old conversations. Small talk felt heavy. Negativity drained you. You craved depth and truth. Awakening refined your appetite. The strength that came from saying no. Boundaries protected your calling. No preserved your peace. Discipline guarded your future. That strength was necessary. When you were tested through success, pride tried to enter quietly. Ego whispered entitlement. You stayed humble. That balance mattered. Why you felt restless before breakthrough. Transition creates discomfort. Growth disrupts familiarity. Restlessness signals movement. Change was approaching. The test of faith during progress. Even progress had challenges. Elevation brought new resistance. You remained grounded. That steadiness qualified you. Why you no longer fear being alone. Solitude became sanctuary. Aloneness strengthened connection with God. You found peace within. That independence is power. The weight of carrying truth. Truth isolates before it elevates. Few can handle it. You learned discretion. Wisdom guided your silence. When God tested your motives, intentions were purified. Desires were examined. You chose service over self. That alignment mattered deeply. Why you feel calm before change. Peace precedes purpose. Clarity replaces chaos. Confidence settles in quietly. You are aligned, the test of remaining kind while being misunderstood. You were labeled incorrectly. Your intentions were questioned. You still chose kindness. That restraint was noted. Why your energy shifted noticeably. You no longer chase explanations. You protect your spirit. Your presence feels different. Growth changed your frequency. The season you were tested through loss. Things left without warning. People exited abruptly. You did not collapse. You adapted with faith. Why God allowed repetition. Lessons returned in new forms. Each time required higher wisdom. You responded better each round. That proved growth. The test of standing alone in truth. Agreement disappeared. Support faded. Truth remained. You chose truth anyway. Why your discernment became immediate. You sense intention quickly now. Energy speaks louder than words. Your spirit recognizes alignment. Awakening refined perception. When obedience cost you comfort, you let go of ease. You chose the narrow path. Convenience was sacrificed. Purpose remained intact. The test of gratitude in scarcity. You thanked God without abundance. You praised without evidence. You trusted without sight. That gratitude unlocked favor. Why you were pressured emotionally. Emotional mastery was required. Reactivity would have delayed you. You learned regulation. Strength was internalized. The season you learned to wait quietly. No announcements were made. No complaints were spoken. Patience matured silently. That quiet endurance mattered. Why you no longer react to provocation. Triggers lost power. Control replaced impulse. Calm replaced chaos. That mastery was earned. The test of loving without attachment. You learned to love freely. You released expectation. You honored boundaries. That balance is wisdom. Why God tested your identity. Roles were stripped away. Labels dissolved. Only truth remained. You discovered who you are. The strength built through consistency. Small disciplines repeated daily. Faith practiced regularly. Integrity maintained quietly. Consistency built authority. When you chose integrity over image, you stopped performing. You stayed authentic. Truth mattered more than appearance. That alignment was rewarded. Why you feel grounded now. Stability replaced anxiety. Clarity replaced doubt. Confidence settled in. You are anchored. The test of remaining faithful without applause. No recognition followed effort. No praise arrived. You stayed faithful. That loyalty was rare. Why you outgrew old desires. Temporary wants lost appeal. Depth became priority. Purpose reshaped desire. Awakening refined focus. The moment you stopped forcing outcomes, control was released. Trust took its place. Peace followed surrender. Alignment became natural. Why this phase feels different. Resistance feels weaker. Fear feels distant. Confidence feels natural. You are transitioning, the test of faith when nothing changed externally. Days looked the same. Circumstances stayed silent. You did not abandon belief. That endurance mattered. Why you learned to detach from outcomes. Expectation was surrendered. Trust replaced control. You focused on obedience. Results followed alignment. The season you were tested in stillness. No movement was visible. No progress was announced. Stillness refined patience. Silence strengthened faith. Why God withheld explanation. Understanding came later. Faith was required first. You trusted without clarity. That trust qualified you. The test of remaining humble in knowledge. Awareness increased rapidly. Insight expanded deeply. You stayed teachable. Humility protected wisdom. Why you no longer fear change. Change feels familiar now. You have survived transitions before. Adaptation became skill. Courage replaced hesitation. The test of choosing peace over pride. You let arguments go. You released the need to win. Peace mattered more than ego. That choice elevated you. Why your spirit feels lighter. Burden was released. Old guilt dissolved. Forgiveness freed you. Lightness followed obedience. The season you learned self-control. Impulses were observed. Emotions were managed. Discipline strengthened will. Mastery was internal. Why you were tested through responsibility. More was placed on you. Expectations increased quietly. You carried it without complaint. That proved readiness. The test of maintaining faith in progress. Momentum brought pressure. Growth attracted resistance. You stayed centered. That balance mattered. Why you no longer seek validation. Approval lost its grip. Identity became internal. Confidence stabilized. Awakening secured you. The strength of being misunderstood and unbothered. Opinions no longer shake you. Judgment lost power. Focus sharpened. Authority matured. The test of trusting divine timing fully. Waiting tested patience. Uncertainty tested faith. You remained obedient. Timing aligned perfectly. Why your vision became clearer. Distractions fell away. Focus intensified. Purpose clarified. Direction became undeniable. The season you learned to lead yourself. No guidance was given. You acted with discernment. Self-leadership developed. That skill was crucial. Why you are no longer easily influenced. Opinions pass through you. Pressure dissolves quickly. Truth anchors you. Stability defines you. The test of perseverance without motivation. Feelings faded. Commitment remained. You continued anyway. That perseverance passed the test. Why this path required maturity. Power without maturity destroys. Calling demands discipline. You developed both. That balance is rare. The test of remaining obedient when it cost you relationships. You chose alignment over attachment. Some walked away confused. You did not chase them back. Obedience mattered more. Why you were tested through criticism. Words were used as weapons. Misinterpretation followed your silence. You did not defend yourself. Truth defended you instead. The season you learned emotional independence. You stopped relying on reassurance. You strengthened inner stability. Peace became self-sustained. That independence was necessary. Why God tested your loyalty. Offers came with conditions. Shortcuts were presented quietly. You refused compromise. Loyalty was proven. The test of carrying vision alone. You saw what others could not. You held it quietly. You protected it patiently. Vision requires solitude. Why you no longer feel the need to explain. Understanding is not required. Alignment is enough. Silence preserved energy. Confidence replaced justification. The season you were tested through responsibility without authority. You carried weight without title. You served without recognition. You remained faithful. That humility mattered. Why God tested your endurance repeatedly. Strength was being verified. Capacity was being expanded. You survived every round. Endurance proved readiness. The test of maintaining integrity under pressure. Stress invited shortcuts. Fear invited compromise. You stayed honest. That integrity was rare. Why you feel stronger spiritually. Connection deepened through struggle. Prayer became natural. Trust became instinct. Spiritual muscles formed. The season you learned to move without validation. No confirmation arrived. No approval followed. You moved anyway. That courage was essential. Why God tested your faith through success and silence. Victory did not make you arrogant. Silence did not make you bitter. Balance was maintained. That steadiness mattered. The test of letting go of control completely. Plans were released. Expectations dissolved. Trust replaced anxiety. Freedom followed surrender. Why you are prepared for the next assignment. Lessons were internalized. Character was established. Discernment matured. You are equipped. The season you became unshakable. Storms came and went. Foundation remained firm. Faith held steady. You are anchored. Why this process was necessary. Calling demands refinement. Purpose requires pressure. You endured both. Transformation is complete. The test of trusting God when logic failed. Reason could not explain your path. Choices felt illogical to others. You obeyed anyway. Faith overruled logic. Why you were led away from familiarity. Comfort limits expansion. Familiar places restrict growth. Separation created space. New capacity was formed. The season you learned to hear God clearly. Noise was removed. Distractions fell away. Sensitivity increased. Guidance became subtle. Why God tested your reaction to favor. Blessings arrived quietly. Attention followed unexpectedly. You remained grounded. Humility guarded increase. The test of remaining pure in intention. Motives were examined. Desires were purified. You chose service over status. That sincerity was crucial. Why you stopped forcing doors open. Resistance revealed timing. Closed doors protected you. Patience replaced striving. Flow replaced effort. The season you learned to discern open doors. Not every opportunity was divine. Discernment guided decisions. You waited for alignment. Wisdom directed movement. While you were tested through delayed recognition. Visibility came slowly. Acknowledgment was withheld. You stayed consistent. That consistency mattered. The test of faith when others advanced faster. Comparison tried to distract you. Envy tried to enter. You stayed focused. Your pace was intentional. Why God tested your ability to rest. Rest requires trust. Stillness felt uncomfortable. You learned to pause. Rest restored clarity. The season you learned to protect your spirit. Boundaries strengthened peace. Discernment guarded energy. You chose wisely. Protection preserved calling. Why you no longer rush decisions. Urgency dissolved. Clarity increased. Wisdom slowed you down. Patience guides you now. The test of letting God lead fully. Control was surrendered. Trust became active. Direction became clear. Alignment followed obedience. Why you are no longer afraid of being different. Uniqueness became strength. Difference became calling. Confidence replaced doubt. You embraced your design. The season you learned to wait without complaining. Silence replaced protest. Patience replaced frustration. Faith matured quietly. That endurance counted. Why your presence feels powerful now. Authority is internal. Peace radiates outward. Confidence is quiet. Power is evident. The test of remaining faithful when prayers seemed unanswered. Requests were delayed. Silence tested patience. You did not stop believing. Faith endured quietly. Why God tested your focus. Distractions increased suddenly. Opportunities pulled at you. You stayed centered. Focus preserved direction. The season you learned to discern people. Words mattered less. Patterns revealed truth. You trusted intuition. Discernment protected you. Why you were tested through emotional triggers. Old wounds resurfaced. Reactions were challenged. You responded with control. Healing was proven. The test of staying grounded in growth. Awareness expanded quickly. Ego tried to rise. You stayed balanced. Humility anchored you. Why you no longer need external confirmation. Certainty lives within. Truth feels settled. Validation is internal. Confidence is stable. The season you learned to honor yourself. Self-respect developed. Boundaries were enforced. Peace was prioritized. That honor changed everything. Why God tested your commitment daily. Consistency matters more than moments. You showed up repeatedly. Faith became routine. That discipline passed the test of carrying blessings without attachment. You received without clinging. You enjoyed without dependence. You remained free. Detachment preserved balance. Why you are no longer easily provoked. Emotional mastery matured. Triggers lost power. Calm replaced reaction. Strength became evident. The season you learned to move in faith quietly. No announcements were made. No validation was sought. You moved in obedience. That quiet faith mattered. Why God tested your ability to forgive yourself. Guilt tried to linger. Regret whispered doubt. You chose grace. Healing was internal. The test of staying true when no one watched. Integrity was private. Choices were unseen. You stayed aligned. That loyalty was recorded. Why your spirit feels steady now. Turbulence has settled. Faith is rooted. Peace is consistent. You are anchored, the test of trusting God with your future. Uncertainty stretched your faith. Plans were unclear. You released control. Trust replaced fear. While you were tested through waiting seasons, momentum slowed intentionally. Patience was developed. You stayed consistent. Waiting refined endurance. The season you learned to value alignment over speed. Rushing lost appeal. Accuracy became priority. You moved intentionally. Alignment protected destiny. Why God tested your courage to be obedient publicly. Obedience became visible. Judgment followed quickly. You did not retreat. Courage was proven. The test of staying soft in a hard season. Harshness surrounded you. You stayed gentle. Compassion remained intact. That softness was strength. Why you no longer fear being misunderstood. Clarity lives within. Understanding is optional. Peace is internal. Confidence is stable. The season you learned to let go gracefully. Release came without resistance. Acceptance replaced struggle. Peace followed surrender. Grace matured you. Why God tested your capacity to receive. Receiving felt unfamiliar. Worthiness was challenged. You accepted humbly. Balance was restored. The test of faith when comfort returned. Ease tested discipline. You remained focused. Consistency stayed intact. Growth continued. Why you are no longer easily distracted. Focus sharpened. Clarity increased. Purpose anchored attention. Distractions faded. The season you learned to walk without fear. Fear lost authority. Courage became natural. Faith guided steps. Freedom followed trust. Why God tested your discernment in opportunities. Not every door was right. You waited for peace. Wisdom guided choice. Alignment confirmed decisions. The test of trusting your inner guidance. Intuition strengthened. Doubt diminished. Confidence stabilized. Guidance felt clear. Why this phase feels calm and certain. Alignment settled in. Resistance decreased. Peace increased. You are positioned, the test of remaining steadfast when life pressed hardest. Obstacles multiplied unexpectedly. Pressure tested endurance. You stood firm anyway. Your perseverance proved unshakable. Why God tested your heart with temptation. Shortcuts appeared tempting. Ego whispered compromise. You stayed faithful. Integrity became your armor. The season you learned to speak only when aligned. Words were measured carefully. Silence became strength. Truth was prioritized over approval. Power grew quietly within. Why you are no longer distracted by noise. Opinions no longer sway you. Chaos no longer unsettles you. Focus guides your steps. Your energy is protected. The test of patience that built unseen strength. Waiting refined resilience. Delay matured trust. Quiet moments strengthened character. Your endurance set you apart. Why God is proud of you today. You chose faith over fear. You honored your calling silently. You stayed aligned when few understood. You passed a test most people failed. Your awakening demands action now. Do not shrink from your purpose. Do not doubt your power. Step fully into your calling today. Like this video, comment your testimony, and subscribe to Return to Awakening to claim your place among the awakened. Rise, chosen one, the world awaits your light. Obstacles are no longer chains. Challenges are stepping stones. You are prepared, you are ready. Engage with this community of awakening. Like, comment, and subscribe to ensure you never walk this path alone.